Good afternoon. It's 4:30. We'll call to order this workshop of the Town Council. We do not yet have a quorum of councilors. Is that accurate? That is not accurate. We have a quorum of councilors. Councilors Golombeski. Oh. We have all of the council with the exception of Councilor Mataronis, who will not be with us for this meeting. I'll ask that the town administrator take charge and march off with the presentation of the budget.
Thank you, Mr. President. Honorable Town Council, you have before you a proposed budget for your review and consideration. This year's budget is evolving. You know what I mean by that is that Joe, as our finance director, has taken a greater role in the benefits as a task that was performed by President Mushin. And also the reporting to the state through the MTP, which is the Municipal Transparency Portal. In doing so, the benefits are portioned out into the various departments. We, President Mushin, Joe and I still making some adjustments and will continue as necessary to have the budget ready for your approval February 24th. Joe will be available throughout, and the department heads were asked to be available to answer or clarify any questions you may have related to their budgets. A big thank you goes to the team, and I mean team, that has been working very diligently to bring to you the budget binder you have. Here are the players: the department heads, Town Council President Robert Mushin, our Finance Director Joe DeSantis, and TA Administrative Assistant Martin Sherman. So with that being said, we're ready to march on. And I suggest that we follow the binder. However, if the council has a different preference, please let me know. And by the way, the color tabs there, the blue are the ones under the preview of the council, the yellow under the budget committee.
With one exception.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, you're right.
Harbor management that's on the back is yellow, but that should be blue.
Thank you. So that being said, we can start with the, if you don't have any preference, we can start with the town council as the first department.
Questions on that? Basically, it's level funded with the phone bills, the phone service taken out and centrally managed through the town hall. Okay.
No questions. Moving on to the town administrator. And as you can see, there is an increase in salary there, as well as the pension bennies. Any questions?
Town clerk. I think that the detail there is, as you're aware, the budget committee, based on the council's recommendation, sets the salary for the clerk. The remainder of the items are as you see. We've moved all service contracts associated with IT into the IT line. So it has the net effect of that is a slight reduction in the clerk's overall cost for the coming year.
Also, I would just make a statement about the telephones in the town hall. Previously, they were under each department. And what was happening is when it was time to disperse the payout, and to make a check, we had to tap into $15 here, $25 there. So in order to facilitate and streamline that, that has been brought under the town hall department and for all the phones in the town hall. So they have been removed from the various departments, which was not a large amount. It was, I believe, $350 per department.
Okay,
And
I've got a question. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
yes,
Yes, we can.
So Tony, I'm glad on your opening, you said that the budget was evolving and you were making adjustments. I have a suggestion for the town clerk's salary. I think it should be increased to $73,000 from the budget committee's recommendation of 63. My apologies if I should have told you that before. New to your process here.
no, this is your time.
I figured this was my time in the sun, so I'm gonna
Yes.
shine it. I'm gonna shine it now.
Patrick, I didn't hear that recommendation. What was that?
The recommendation for the clerk's salary to be increased to 73,000.
And just for the record, since I'm an elected official, I cannot speak on my salary at all. I just want to make sure that my silence is, the true reason.
the charter is specific as to how the clerk's salary is set. And what it tells us is that the budget committee recommends to the electorate the salary of the clerk. And the council's role is to recommend to the budget committee what they believe the salary should be. So the council does not have a role in establishing the proposed salary for the clerk before the people, if that's clear.
So Bob, would we need a motion and a vote? I know this is a workshop. A motion and a vote to send, if that was approved, to send that to the budget committee?
Well, a couple of things. One, it being a workshop, we have no provision for taking action. So we don't have the ability to have a motion to do anything until we are convened in session. But it could be suggested that motion is out of order in the sense that is not how it's prescribed to be done for the charter. We would be acting contrary to the charter. That's my quick sense. I don't have a solicitor here to ask that. I believe that would be how that's supposed to be.
Bob, may I make a comment?
Yeah.
I sit on the budget committee. I think Chris Goulart's also on this.
Right.
I sit on the budget committee, and at a recent meeting, we entertained the proposal that the town council had made and suggested to the budget committee. The budget committee looked at that proposal and then looked at the data from Rhode Island cities and towns to see that the budget committee believed that the proposed amount as stated by the town council and given to the budget committee was, in our opinion, too low. And then we raised the amount to $63,000. I frankly forget what the amount was that was given to the budget committee as a suggestion from the town council, but it was lower than 63,000. And after looking at the data, we moved to increase the town clerk's salary to 63. So that was a move up from where the town council had originally started. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Mr. President, if I may intervene,
Sure.
it was 61,000 recommended by the council there to the budget committee.
Okay. I suggest that we take this matter under discussion in that it requires, were we to entertain it as a motion, it would need to be in a meeting where we're able to do so. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Understood. Understood. I have another question on under the clerk, and this is probably one that's probably easier. The vault needs assessment and expanding upgrade of $40,000. I just need an explanation on that one. If someone could do that for me.
You want me to take it, Tony?
Go ahead, you do. You're much more familiar with it than I am.
The vault at some point in time will need to be expanded and upgraded to meet current standards for housing archival materials. And that will be a very large expense. So we decided quite a few years ago to proportionate that it would be approximately $40,000 each year that we would need to set aside in order to be able to fund that when the time came that we needed to construct and create a new vault.
Thank you, Carol. Where did the $200,000 come from? Did that come from a RFP, or does someone come in and look at it? What's the professional?
It's actually a very old quote from many years ago, and it was from the state archivist giving us information, but it needs to be updated. That's a low ball on what the anticipated cost would be, actually.
Thank you.
Let's proceed then if there are no further questions on the clerk.
The next one will be the building zoning. Again, as you can see, there was one small adjustment made there. Well, there's actually a few adjustments. When Peter and I met, we felt that we need to shuffle things a little bit. But as you can see, we did not go over the amount from last year, with the exception of the phone that was transferred over to the town hall. And also the other folks that included there is the inspectors. And we agreed that we would level funded that. We're running a good margin this year. So we didn't feel that there's a need to increase that.
Okay,
Any questions? The next one will be the advisory boards. And I need to clarify a couple things. One is under the planning and zoning, there is a clerk that serves both of those departments. And previously it was paid just under the planning. However, since it works with both, we are splitting the cost of that, and it's projected to be $5,100 per department.
Are you gonna have a problem if zoning takes the bulk of that salary?
No, we can adjust that.
Okay.
Hey, Tony,
Yes.
is it advisory boards has separate line items underneath, but is advisory boards all under one category? So the 10% can move anywhere under any of the boards? Or is that-
Not necessarily,
or is
other
that-
than the planning and zoning, because we have one clerk that serves both. That's the only one I see that we could shuffle that. I'm not seeing that would be an option, the other, but that's just my opinion.
All right,
Somebody may feel different about that.
that is typically where we've had occasion to move move funds is in support of either, typically it's in support of the zoning board. And we've done so under what you said, the fact that they're all subsidiary boards of the town council. But we believe this spread is probably what we need.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions on the town? We'll move to the town hall. And the town hall's increase there is derived from the fact that we moved all the phones under that department.
Okay,
Okay, any
I've got a-
any questions?
Yeah, the service contracts, what does that entail? That $20,000 jump?
The service contracts that has to do with well, it's not 20,000. We went from 8 to 20, okay? And that was due to, I'm sorry.
My brain's a year behind, I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Now, there was a $12,000 and that was started last year with a cleaning company that we have coming to the town hall. That was the increase.
The cleaning company.
Right. And that was a trade-off because the DPW employees used to clean the town hall. However, they took on some contracts such as the public safety, landscaping, Ponderosa landscaping. So we traded off what would have cost us there. We transferred those funds into the cleaning company.
Thank you. Really quickly, are we happy with the cleaning company?
That is the discussion that's going on right now. Presently, Chief Patron is on, actually. The cleaning company not only cleaned the town hall, but did the public safety. Our firefighters / EMS has undertaken the cleaning there in place of them. Chief Rains and I are having a conversation as to how we're going to proceed there, as well as the town hall. But to answer your question, no, we are not very happy. And that's why we're exploring other options.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions in the town hall? Financing? And Joe is on, so Joe could actually answer any questions they may have.
as a result of things, it's pretty level funded, so I think we should move on unless there's questions.
Okay. Next would be tax assessor. And as you can see, again, there's a little bit of a reduction there because the phones were transferred to the town hall as well. And we made a couple other adjustments there as well.
So I have a comment on this also.
Certainly.
Bob, I don't know if it's going to be the same answer you gave me about the clerk, but I would recommend a salary increase for the assessor at $72,500.
Okay, that would need to be brought up at our meeting on the 24th in order to put it before the council for a vote, but we'll circulate that proposal.
Thank you.
These are the kinds of things that in the budget process, it would be helpful that the department concerned realize that that's happening so that they know to build that into their budget when they're putting it together.
My apologies for not knowing
Okay.
the process.
Yep.
Okay. Any additional questions on the tax assessor? No. Budget committee. We have two members of the committee. I think there they were level funded, am I correct on that?
Yes.
Moving on, we have IT is the next piece. And as you can see there, there's a very small reduction there. However, if you look at the contracts there, I'm in the process of compiling exactly how much each contract is costing the town. I started that, and unfortunately, I don't have all of that info as of today, but I will have it as of the next meeting. But we're not really asking for any other changes there.
So
I
I have a
just-
comment. I have a comment on the IT, and I'm sure you're not surprised. My conversations I've had with Tony and Bob twice about IT, I feel that, if you look closely at the service contracts, the computer SW support and the department expense comes to about $130,000. My estimation, I've been tracking since I've been here on the town council with the bills from the IT. I think that we could save money by doing away with a vendor that we have to call that only works 1 hour a week, and hire someone that's going to be here for 40 hours a week. I think, I know we'd have to give them a pension, et cetera, but I still think we're going to save money. And also the efficiency is going to go through the roof. I think we should collaborate with the school. My time over there since 2014, they've got an excellent IT director there. This is nothing new to Bob and Tony. I've mentioned this before. I think there can be a lot of things that we could work together with as a town and save money and increase efficiency. I mean, what we do as public appointed officials is try to save money and also increase efficiency. And I think this IT department that we have here at the City Hall is right for that. So I just wanted to make those comments. Thank you.
I can review with you the rationale at a separate time as to why we choose the direction we're going, but I would disagree that a town hall IT person in a full-time capacity would be a cost savings. I don't believe that's the case. But let's debate that so that we can put forward the right answer. Okay.
The next department that we have coming up is police and dispatch, and Chief Rains is on. But before we go on, any questions?
I'm sorry, I had one more question about IT. I'm sorry. You
Okay.
didn't quite get to that. I'm sorry.
That's
You
okay.
have down town clerk contract profile at $10,000. Can I get an explanation on that one, please?
I'm sorry, the town clerk?
Yeah,
He
Oh,
asked about the
yes.
co-file.
profile.
Yeah,
Go
the
ahead, Carol.
co-file is currently the vendor that I use for my land evidence system. We are in the process of doing an RFP to go out to another vendor. I pay some of that cost out of Rhode Island Historical Trust funds that I get from vital records copies and recording land evidence deeds. So it's a split of about maybe 10,000 out of what used to be my budget, and then 7,000 roughly out of the Rhode Island Historical Trust funds. Since we were making a change where more vendors or more service contracts that were IT related were going into the computer stroke, we made the decision that that should not be paid out of my budget, but should go with all of the other IT computer software contracts.
Thank you for that explanation.
Which sort of goes with your statement before, Counselor, is that, looking at those amounts, I've been watching those numbers pretty carefully, and we thought that was best to accommodate under the contracts under IT. Okay, any other questions on IT computers? Okay, moving on to police dispatch. Obviously, Chief is on, so, he can directly answer those questions.
Tony,
Yes,
I can start with an adjustment right off the bat. As you said earlier, that this is evolving.
that's correct. Chief.
The line item that deals with the body worn camera program, the now new state legislation that requires body cameras for patrol and first line supervisors. So I've been on the phone and quite a few Zooms with Axon, which is the company that it looks like we're going to be trying to procure cameras from. We've wheeled and dealed a little bit, so that $25,000 line item can go down to 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a good adjustment. We worked on what we actually needed and took a look at some new numbers. And to be honest with you, I got some free stuff as well. So it can drop down to 10. If we do decide to go with them, sign a 5-year contract with them. So it would be spread out. The number has gone down and it would certainly be spread out over the 5 years.
Super. Thank you, Chief.
Chief, the 10K would be spread out over 5 years, or is 10K a year?
No, it would be, so I don't have a positive number, but right now it looks like about 7,900 a year. That's not a definite number. It's certainly not going to be 25. So just to back up a little bit, this is in the governor's budget and they call it a grant program, but my theory is it's a reimbursement program. It's not a true grant. So what happens is this legislation was passed. As a lot of legislation gets passed, it had no funding, it had no funding source. So we had to go through the legislature, put a little pressure on the governor's office, and it's been a certain amount of money has been placed in the governor's budget. That number has bounced around between $1,500 per camera, $1,750 per camera, plus an administrative fee of $1,000 per camera per year for 5 years. That being said, we still have to add it to the budget to make the initial purchase. The only requirement is that we adhere to the statewide policy for the use of the body camera. Every police department is going to have to follow suit. I am currently on the Body Worn Camera Commission representing the small departments with the Department of Public Safety, the Attorney General's office, and the Executive Director of the Chiefs Association, Sid Wardell. So that policy is almost completed. We're a little behind the 8 ball. The legislation actually started on July 1 of 2021, but it really had no start date for people to get the camera program up and running. The big piece is getting the policy in place so that people can figure out exactly what they need for their departments, make their purchases, and then submit to the Department of Public Safety Grants Public Safety Office our policy. Yes, we're following this, and then we would get reimbursed. My theory on that is that I think a reimbursement grant is kind of hit or miss. It's in the governor's budget. I think someone could probably move it and give it someplace else. So I've been trying to get the best price possible, acting like we weren't getting any money. So if we do get money in reimbursement, it'd be great. We can put it in that line item and then encumber those funds every year going forward until that 5-year period is up. And then we'd relatively be on the hook for that each year. And it's probably about, I have the number here, excuse me, I'm just looking through it. So the hardware would be all purchased in the first year, and then the expenses going forward are mostly the storage. It goes into the cloud, all of these videos. And then the licenses to be able to view the videos and do redaction and editing should there be any open records requests. And that will cost roughly $2,900 a year after the 5th year of the program.
Well, thank
That
you.
was kind of
Chief.
long-winded answer. Did that answer anything?
Yeah, well, yeah, it made sense. So thanks for your prudence, though. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's again, it was a legislative mandate. times being as they are, transparency is important in a police department. We want to be able to, I gotta be honest with you, even if they didn't pass the legislation, I probably would have moved forward to try to get the program going for us as well. I think it shows transparency in the department. I don't think we have any problems. As a matter of fact, I know we don't have problems. We don't have problems with us. But this would kind of put people at ease, and it would also show people what a good job we're doing. And we would have valuable evidence should anything occur.
I'm all set. Thank you, sir.
Any questions for, any other further questions for the chief? Now, can we move on to fire? Fire and public safety. And Chief Patron is on as well. Any questions for the chief?
Okay, let's go ahead.
Okay. If no questions, moving on to public works. And unfortunately, Director Moore was not available because he had a conflict with another meeting. However, he did, you know, he'll make himself available if needed, not today, but in the future to clarify any questions.
Tony, does this budget take into account for the paving that we delayed this year? Last year for this year?
Yes, it does. It's a, yes.
Well, that's in the highway budget, though.
Right, that's on the bottom portion of the first page. And there are also encumbered funds from last year.
They were encumbered. Okay, that's where I was going.
Again, that's subject to the additional number of blizzards we endure before this is done, but yeah.
Right. That is very true because actually our Department of Public Works, our employees undertaken more and more of the plowing, doing the work, not contracted out as much. I believe you may have gotten an email from Director Moore that specified that information.
Okay,
Okay. The next item would be capital, the capital budget. And I will be working on that. It's not, I don't have a complete budget to go to you, but it will, I will. Looks like there'll be this weekend's homework and have a budget before you that will be very clear as to what we've accomplished thus far in FY '22 and what we plan to do going forward.
I have a question on this one.
Yes,
So the town appropriation in 2022 was $250,000, is that correct?
that's correct.
And we're gonna go for another town appropriation for another $250,000, is that correct?
That is correct.
So what is the balance we have in our capital fund now?
I'm not sure if Joe is able to do that. Because actually that's one of the things I need to do is compile all the projects that were completed to come up with a much more accurate number, but Joe may be able to punch that out.
I don't want to take up too much time. How many active projects do we have going on now?
Right, well, we did the roof on the public safety, the floor on the police and fire. We have to remove the rugs that are there because the humidity is just coming through. The furniture has been ruined. We to the point where there's some mildew. So there's two projects going on there. Let's see, what's the other one? Can't think of it right off the top. But those ongoing, actually, the floor and the rugs, we have contracted two contracts that will be doing the work very soon because we have to rearrange the office space there. Police has to be placed with the fire. So there's some arrangements that the chiefs are working through once we get the rugs and we get the furniture.
Thank you for that.
The rug needs to be removed, the floors have to be sanded down. So, and then we have to replace the rugs and the furniture.
Thank you.
Tony, just an update, the furniture is actually being constructed today, wherever they make it, and then it will be shipped to Providence. So hopefully to get this project started in the next 6 weeks.
Thank you.
You have access to a budget committee report from last year. On page 20 is the fiscal 22 capital plan that lays out what we expect to do. What it doesn't clearly show you is which ones of those things would take funds from the capital. I take that back. The next to last column shows you the type of funding, but the capital plan was to fund the roof of the public safety complex, the parking lot of the public safety complex. Now, these are the proposals that we considered funding. The fire department radios, police radios, and street lamp work, as well as things like a leaf vacuum and a hot box pothole repair equipment. Because it's a capital plan, not all of those get accomplished, but that also shows you the carried forward 93,000 from last year and 250,000 this year. So what we began the year with is $343,000 in available funds to do that kind of work. Some of the things that we had planned for the capital plan, we're going to execute using ARPA funds. And so again, that possibility as well as borrowing is all part of the mix. So that's what Tony's speaking to in terms of what we have to lay out as how we're going to approach this. I, for one, believe that the placeholder of $250,000 for the capital plan may adjust downward because once we figure out where we're going to get all the funds, that's the opportunity. We've got 6 days to do that. And then the time that the budget is moving through the budget committee process, the budget committee will be able to react to those things as well in terms of, which is a typical approach that we use on healthcare fees, dental fees, capital plans. As the state begins to lay out its budget in the next couple of months, the budget committee will be able to adjust the council's request in order to accommodate that. But the adjustment typically is downward. In other words, the budget committee rarely would recommend a higher number to the people than what was requested by the department. But that's how that process unfolds. Unfortunately, we have to be done by the 1st of March. The state is typically done by the end of May. And so just before our financial town meeting, we get advised as to what kinds of things we might have. So it's a very fluid process.
So Bob, just quickly, I didn't want to get into the weeds with this and I apologize. So we started out with 93K, 250K is 343. Joe has told us we have 136,000 in there now. So are you saying we have one bite of the apple on this capital? Well, so we say, listen, we want to do these projects. The council approves them. And it has to be done by March 1st. Did I understand that correctly?
No, not the projects themselves, the appropriation of a specific amount of money.
Okay.
That's what needs to be laid out.
Okay. So at the next meeting, we could say, listen, we've got a new project. We want to vote on it. Take it out of capital.
That's correct. We could choose to direct that a certain capital expense was more important than another capital expense and should therefore take priority over it. That's the beauty of a capital plan as opposed to a plan that says next year buy a fire truck. That doesn't have any flexibility if the trash compactor breaks. Sorry for the specific example, Chief. I didn't mean to put throw the truck under the bus, but the reality is any one of those things could take priority over something else just due to and that's why we have a capital plan.
If you want to buy me a new fire truck, that's fine. Thank you.
What's that?
I said, if you want to buy me a new fire truck now, that's fine.
I was thinking a new compactor, but you probably don't want that.
Thanks for the explanation, the time, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is civic resources. I'm sorry, any other questions on the capital? Okay, civic resources is the next one. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Those requests, most of them have come to the council. All of them probably did come to the council as a request from the different agencies. And then I just plug in the information. Comments or questions on that? Okay, the next item would be Parks and Recreation. I'm skipping the yellow ones. Parks and Recreation, we pretty much level funded that.
I have a question on this one.
Certainly.
I don't want to waste people's time. The Ponderosa, I consider Parks and Recreation. I do not fish, nor do I skate. But I walk my dogs down there expecting to see kids skating. And what I saw was a pond that's a mess. And it made me think why it was a mess. Does anybody on this call can tell me why that Ponderosa is not operating as an ice skating rink during the winter?
If I may jump in on this, we don't own the Ponderosa.
Yeah, no.
The SPA owns the Ponderosa, and it's their call on what to do. We've made numerous offers over the year to do certain things there, but for environmental reasons, they haven't ever got done. And we tried lots of different things over the years. We had one guy with a canoe with a weed whacker that worked underwater go through there. Manny Pete, when he owned that, before the SPA took possession of it, used to open a sluice gate in the spring and drain the pond and go in there with a bulldozer every 2 or 3 years. And that's where those big mounds in the back came. It's a clay bottom pond. But we tried to do that again. And basically DEM said, if you'd kept that up all along, you could have kept doing it. But because it stopped for so many years, it's now a certified wetland pond, whatever the delineation of it is. And they weren't allowing us to do that anymore. So there's been attempts to do it, but again, we don't own it. It's the SPA owns it.
That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Thank you.
Okay. And any other questions? If not, we can move on to the meeting hall. And meeting hall, as you see, there is really not a whole lot of changes. It was just a budget the same as last year, level funded. Any questions on the meeting hall? Carol, were you going to comment on something?
Me? No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
You probably heard my paper move.
Okay. The next one would be the harbor management. And we do have some information here. However, this is the first year trying to make an attempt to have a budget for the department or create a budget to be inclusive in the binder. And I'm waiting for additional information to complete the numbers for FY '23.
I have a question, a comment on this one.
Yes.
I hate to say, I admit, I don't understand this. Well, sorry about the dog. Can someone just explain this harbor management to me quickly?
I'm going to have to defer that to someone else who may have more knowledge than I in that.
I can speak to it if you want me to, Bob. Okay. Harbor Management Fund is dictated by laws that says that fund must only be spent on any activities or fees that are necessary for the operation and the management of the harbor. So it can't be used for anything else. And the fees that are collected from moorings go into that fund. They're used for future dredging if they need to. They're used to pay the salary of your harbor master and your assistant harbor master. Any other fees that come from the buildings or the electricity, the lights at the town dock, all of that sort of stuff. But it's required by state law that anything that goes into there from fees collected from the harbor must only be spent on the harbor.
Does the town appropriate money to this account?
No, it's strictly collecting of the fees and then expending them on the harbor operations and management.
There was an issue years ago. We didn't have a fund. The town was just paying money, collecting fees and using the money, putting it back out again. And the state came down on us and we didn't get in trouble because we were spending more than we were collecting. But they say, knock it off. You can't do that anymore. You've got to take the fees and use them in our own fund. So that's how this fund, I don't know, Carol, it was a few years ago that all happened.
Oh, in early 90s, I think.
We believe that we should standardize the way in which we operate the finances of the town. And so what the administrator is striving to do is to have a process by which we budget, we expense in accordance with the budget, and we're still able to do what has been mandated of us, that is to keep the funds segregated, but we do so in a manner that we're able to answer questions afterwards. We've had a similar issue over the years with the beach. That's how we do the beach. And so it's really bringing that particular item into the same kind of process. In the case of the beach, all their revenues go into the general fund. In the case of the harbor, all of their revenues go into the harbor fund. That enables us to answer the question, have you used the funds in the harbor, collected in the harbor fund only for harbor related matters? So it's a different way of administering it with the objective of standardizing the process while allowing for differences in how it's regulated.
Is it my recollection that we voted to use harbor funds to buy some kind of boat? Is that my recollection a few months ago?
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
That is correct. Well,
Right.
actually, it was a split. It's a split between the fire department and the harbor master, because currently the boat that's there, it's used by both. It was agreed, between both departments that rather than have two boats, the maintenance of two boats, the dock two boats, the fees to pay, that they would collaborate and we would have one public safety boat for the town. And that is correct. So the purchase of the boat is split between both departments,
So the council,
which is for the use.
The council can vote to use these funds. Obviously.
Right. The first action in that case was by the Harbor Commission, who said they were willing to have the harbor master's boat be a shared boat. And the town, on behalf of the fire department, said, we agree with that. And that recommendation came from the fire chief. So what we ended up with was two entities in the town, each responsible for its particular area, each agreed, and then the council agreed that, yes, we approve the purchase of a single craft that'll do both of those functions. And then,
Oh, so
and then
we,
each-
yeah. So we didn't improve harbor, management funds. We approved town funds. To buy
No,
that.
they were harbor management funds.
yeah, they're right. Right.
I recall taking a vote. I'm just remembering. So we voted to do what? To release harbor management funds?
Well, let me clarify that the harbor management fund, the only way something gets paid out of that is by a vote of the town council.
Right.
This body has to give permission. The harbor commission themselves is strictly an advisory board to the town council. They themselves have no authority to expend funds. Does that help?
Yeah, so we have to approve their electricity, we have to approve their
Exactly.
fuel, their maintenance repair, and we have to approve them buying a boat.
Mhm.
Okay, thank
But
you
it's,
for that
and it's fair to
clarification.
say their role is to say, yes, we agree that the harbor can be operated with a shared boat. That was important. That was important, and that was why we didn't have it before that. We had a separate boat because the two parties were not together.
Thank you for that explanation. I hope I don't have to ask you for too many more tonight.
Okay. Actually, one item there is the current boat that we have, once that boat is sold, will help defray the purchase of the new boat. Okay. Any other questions on the harbor management? Mr. President, it's your call going forward.
I think we have the inputs. We have a number of questions to answer, and we'll get those answers. We also need, as the administrator said, we need to create our going forward capital plan, considering what it is we've done this year. Appreciation to those who have found other paths, such as reducing prices on body worn cameras, et cetera, to influence our capital plan. That's what we'll be doing. And we'll bring the total package forward for a vote a week from tomorrow. I'm finished. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
briefly, if there is any other questions or anything else that I may clarify going forward between now and then, please don't hesitate to stop in, and either ask the question, and if I don't know the answer, I'll make sure I'll get the answer. And likewise, we have our finance director as well, Joe, who is also very available.
Okay.
Other than that, just a big thank you, for the workshop this evening. And certainly we will continue. Much to do.
Let me tell you, the process continues to improve and continues to be more able to be understood. We'll take aboard these questions that have been raised and try to be sure that you understand in the future where we're headed. There being no further business that I'm aware of from anyone raising hands or otherwise signaling, we'll declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you for those who made it possible. Thanks also to the Budget Committee for your representation.